Hello, so this will be a quick tutorial on both how to install and just basically use the map editor right now, because I want people to get involved with this because this is really cool. So first what you want to do is go into General in the Refunct Community Discord, open up Pinned, and most recent pin should hopefully be the link to the map editor release message. You want to click the link in that message, and it'll take you to GitHub. Uh, and then what you need to do is you need to click on practice windows.zip. This is the most, if you have Windows. If you have Linux, you're on your own here, but you probably know more about just, you probably can figure out how to do this. If you click on it, it'll start to download. You can put it anywhere you want, but I'll just put it on desktop for simplicity for right now. Then what you want to do is unzip it. You can now delete the zip file it came with. There will be practice windows inside. This is what you use to launch the map editor and just Refunct tool in general. The files for this are stored in your %appdata%, and then you just have to scroll down to refunct-tas, then it has maps and recordings, and also save your settings. So whenever you download a new update, you don't have to reset any of your settings. This is where you'll place maps if you go and download them. I'll open Refunct now. I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious, so I typically wait for the whole intro animation to be over before I start the Refunct TAS here. There's a chance it may crash. It did not crash. I may have spoke too soon. Okay, did not crash. So you may notice there's this menu right here. That's pretty cool. Ignore the version update. That I think that's either me having downloaded this wrong or it's just a bug with the version, but it should be fixed. There's a few things likely that will be fixed like very soon, maybe in another update or maybe I don't know how it works, but probably another update. So you can press M to open up the menu. You can see the map editor here, but I'm going to go through some other settings quickly first. There's no way to edit hotkeys currently, but if that is a holdup for you using the tool, say somewhere in the Refunct Discord, and then I'm sure it'll be adding hotkeys will be a top priority at that point. There's settings here. You can use this to turn on. You can edit the UI scale here and also show character stats, which is useful for being able to mess around in the menu. Oh yeah, you press enter to select something on the menu. I think character stats is important. It shows your coordinates right here. MISC, in here you want to go to movement, and then here you can edit your flying speeds. These are what I have mine set to. You don't have to go here every single time to be able to start flying. Instead, what you can do is just press F to start flying around. There's no collision. However, if you do go into water, there's a slight bug currently that if you start flying, you will have the swimming sound effect. You can easily get rid of that by just ledge grabbing somewhere out of the water. So yeah, that's all for being able to all those settings. Now we can click on map editor. Here you'll see delete map and edit map. You just click edit map, and then if you want to make a map, you won't have these. These are already maps I have installed or just have created. You want to input just some name for them. I'll just put like tutorial. You can see that I haven't had any other attempts at this so far. And now you have opened up the map editor. The most basic way to select something to edit, I'll start a new game quickly, so that it's only one platform up. Actually, I'll put this in full screen. I don't know why I haven't done that yet. So the most simple way to select a platform is to press tab. Well, not the simplest, but the most basic is to press tab and then type whatever some input. It has the format up at the top, but essentially you put the name of the number of the cluster and then some one or two letter thing to indicate what type of thing you're selecting. So like platform, a button, a pipe. So in this case, I'm selecting a platform. Then you can choose which platform. There's no indication for which platform is which is why using this is annoying and I don't recommend it. However, you can select, you can see I have cluster 1, platform 2 selected. I won't go into editing stuff right now just yet. However, the much easier way to select different elements is to press E on them. You can see I immediately select platform cluster 1, platform 2. I won't have to like remember which platforms are which at all. So like if I select this one's platform 3. Now there's quite a few different fields. The simplest way to move platforms around is to simply press enter on set to player location, and it will place it. Bad example. If I use this, okay, this is a good example. You can set to player location and it'll place it centered right below you. However, that doesn't partially work, and that is because of yaw. If there's any rotation, it doesn't actually work. So if I change the yaw to 0 on that, then this platform will be moved to the correct location right below me whenever I set to player location. That's the simplest way to move it around. However, it's not it's not precise. So the best way to edit values precisely is to edit the x, y, and z. Important to note, these are not Minecraft coordinates. The y-axis is not up and down. Z is up and down. You can see right here, Z is changing. X is in this direction, and Y is in that one. However, you can figure that out through intuition eventually. There's also the set rotation button, which I don't use as much right so far, but it gets a bit funky. There's some silly things you can do with this. There's a ton of potential that's opened up with this editor, and I want to see people make some maps that can really show off that potential. So there's also this reset to original values button. Definitely helps to be able to just move stuff back if you accidentally mess something up. These are the 3 rotations. The yaw will rotate it like it will not mess with the face, the top face. So it'll still be flat if you edit the yaw to any value, like 130. 180 will rotate it essentially it's 360 degrees. I don't think I needed to explain that. Pitch and roll, I don't know which way it goes. One of them will rotate it. Why did it rotate it so far? One of them rotates it around like that. One of them will rotate it around like that. I don't know how to tell which one consistently. Just guess until you get it right. Then there's also sizes. If I move this platform up a bit, you can see definitely has X, Y, and Z size. If I change the X size, it's going to extend in the X direction. If I change the Y size, it'll change in the Y direction. You couldn't see that because it extended out that way. However, you may notice platforms do get stretched a bit, so they do get a bit ugly. That's just a limitation of the current way we are going about using the map editor. Let me get button 2 raised. I can reset this to original. So What's next? Oh, editing cluster. So I'll just set up something else briefly. If I bring this button to platform over to here, this one doesn't. Okay, sorry, I'm trying to figure this out. Okay, that's, I don't know why that's not working how I expect it. However, what I'm trying to do is just move this to like, ignore what is going on right now. I'm just trying to set something up. And then, oh yeah, you can also select elements on buttons and just anything else in general. However, here I've just placed it in the wall, so I'm going to be using the in element selector here to select that. Sorry, this is scuffed. However, I'm doing this to show an example of what I need to do next. You can see right now, what I've done is I've moved one of the platform 2 buttons up. However, you can see it's now out of the water, even though it hasn't risen yet. Essentially, it doesn't automatically adjust like the initial cluster height. So what you need to do is press tab and then select a cluster, which right now is off by 1, but I think in the future it won't be like this. So right now I have to select 1 to be editing cluster 2. And now I can lower this a bit, like I think 350 should put it under the water. Yes, it is below the water. However, now, one thing you may have noticed if you've gone underwater is that there is a certain height to all the platforms. And you may want, maybe with how you're editing your map, you may want to copy that or use that type of thing where all the highest platforms are limited by the same size. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to start measuring the platform heights. What you can do here is, since you're editing the Z, you're going to be looking at the Z. You can see if I crouch down, it's negative 49. However, right here, if I crouch down, it's approximately 202. Right now, that's because of some funky stuff, but the 49 and 202 is approximately 150 apart. So if I take 1,350, lower it by 150, it's going to now be adjusted correctly. You can see it's now the proper height. Measuring's very important to making stuff look centered, especially with these, depending on how much you decide to be precise or just go with what looks right. Personally, I've been somewhat copying the base game style, at least somewhat, of it being rather precise in its measurements. The game typically uses scales of like 500. You can see 500, 1000s, just everywhere in almost every platform. You can see different, essentially halves or just different amounts of halves of like 1,000. So you can see this is 3/8 of 1,000. It's 250 plus 125. And all the heights are like 500, 500, 750. So this base game scale typically goes by like 500. This is a 500 gap. This, for example, is a 250 gap. And each of these height differences are all 125 right here. And then this is a 250. You can copy that style as much as you want whenever creating your own map, or you can go completely off the rails and just do whatever you want. If you want to, right now, most styles that are going to look quote unquote nice, I guess, are going to probably be copying the base game style at least somewhat, but feel free to experiment with different heights. I've left a height spacing guide in the description for different heights you can space stuff out with. So like here, these are 125 heights, but if I edit this to like 325, or not 425. You can see the height differences now if I measure by crouching. It's 50 and then 375. That's a 275 height difference. That's not possible to level. 225 height difference. Wait. 325. I can't do math. It's a 325 height difference, which means it requires a wall jump and a ledge grab. I essentially just have that charted out so you don't have to initially experiment around with that. Is there anything else? Oh, yeah. If the yaw is like 90 or something on a platform, changing the X scale and Y or X size and Y size is going to be slightly different than expected. Thought? Okay. X size and Y size, you just have to get used to them. They're a bit funky sometimes. I know there's things I'm missing. I don't want to make this too much longer. But I think that's most of what you need to know to be able to just mess around with the map editor and just make things. Like, it's not been out for long. I think people would be more excited just to see like a full map out there. The capabilities will be expanding more than there are in this tutorial as of right now, and that's pretty cool. I hope there'll be more abilities with like changing specifics about like eventually you'll be able to like add more platforms to a cluster, for example. But as of right now, we don't have that. I think to end it off, I'll just go through my own map and show off a few examples of like specific height differences I've done. This is already getting a bit long. Everything you see here, I'll hit the buttons quickly. Look away if you don't want to be spoiled on my map. It's only 5 buttons right now, though. I've not been following exactly the similar height guides of like 125, but I've been mostly following the sort of intervals of like halves and quarters of platforms. So like this is spaced halfway back from the platform. Essentially all of these are not incredibly stretched or unstretched. If you're I'm looking specifically at like the size values, you can see they're like 500s, 750s, stuff like that. This one's a 400 just because I thought it looked decent, and you won't find stuff like that in the base game. You can see just some examples of like right here, this platform edge is essentially right in the middle of those two walls right there. And also, the way I've sort of been designing these is that I've been moving them around a lot with a lot of trial and error. So don't be afraid if like you're placing stuff and it looks a bit nasty. Just keep moving them around. Find stuff that works. Experiment with different heights. Like this platform over here took like a lot of experimenting. It's fun to put something together, and it's even more fun once you actually like put it together, then start to just begin to route it. Like speedrunning wise. This game's awesome speedrunning wise, and I want to see more maps where I can route like speedrunning wise. And I messed up there. But yes. Refunct is cool, and I want to play more Refunct. So please make maps. Please, it would be very nice of you. Okay. Hope to see you guys upload maps. Or else.